Okay, today's scary story freaked me out so much, I'm not going to be able to sleep tonight. Before we begin, I just want to remind you to subscribe to my where I will be posting the full version of the story that I posted last night, and I will be posting stories that I don't normally tell on here every few days. But I also post the stories that I post on here on there. The link is in my bio. Okay, you guys, so today's scary story was sent to me by a girl named Kaylin. She said that I could tag her, so she will be tagged in the description if you guys have any comments for her. Now, Kaylin said that she has been experiencing paranormal things for a long time, but we're gonna go back to the beginning. So the first incident was in 2010 when her baby brother had just been born, and they lived in a one-story house on the far side of town where she said a lot of bad things would happen all the time. So apparently it was not a good area. So one night Kaylin is sleeping in her room, and all of a sudden she wakes up to this cackling sound, like somebody was laughing, and she could hear it from the corner of her room. It sounded like imagine that, except for a little bit more hoarseness to it. Mind you, it is 3 a.m. and she is absolutely terrified at this point. So she shoots up in bed, she's sitting up, she scans the room for whatever is going on, and she notices that across the room, there is this tall, dark figure that is crouching over in the corner like this. Now, she can't really see anything but a shadow at this point until all of a sudden a car drives by. And when the car drives by, its lights shine through the window. And what she sees is unbelievable. Now, what she sees, she can only describe as a demon. It was crouched over in the corner with its feet facing outward. It had long feet, long fingers, and its arms were wrapped around its stomach. It has horns on its head and then another smaller pair on its back. It had yellow slanted eyes, and she describes its skin complexion as like a sphinx cat. Is sphinx cat? Am I saying that right? Basically, its skin was like stretched out in some places and wrinkly in others, and its yellow eyes were super bloodshot. It also had this huge grin across its face. This grin that went from ear to ear that seemed impossible for anything to be able to do with its face. She then said that it said something to her, and she doesn't remember exactly what it says. All she remembers is that hoarse, crackly voice. And after it said whatever it said, it starts hysterically laughing. As it's doing this, it slowly stretches out its arms and it drops something on the floor as it's laughing hysterically with its arms stretched out like this. This thing was standing over an AC unit, so whatever it dropped to the AC unit, and she heard it clink to the floor. After she hears the clink of whatever it was, it jumps out of the window and she just starts screaming hysterically. Her mother runs in the room, asks her what's wrong, and she tells her what she just saw. And her mother's like, you just had a bad dream, but she knows that she didn't just have a bad dream because she was never jolted awake. She was awake the entire time. She somehow eventually falls back asleep. I don't know how these people do it, but she fell back asleep, and the next morning she wakes up, she goes over to the vent where she heard that clanking sound, and she finds a little penny, tails up, just like this. Here's the picture of it. She still has the penny to this day, so take a close look. She, for some reason, is terrified to get rid of this penny, and she doesn't know why. But ever since this happened till this day, she now has had several encounters with the paranormal. She was 8 years old. She moved to a different house, and there was an old lady named Edna that used to sit next to her bed and crochet every single night. This person was obviously not alive. It was something that she was just seeing. She said that the woman rarely spoke, but that she actually found out later that there was an old couple that used to live in that house, and that there was an incident with a bunch of teenagers that broke into the home. And I can only assume that something happened to the couple when that happened, but she said that she tried researching it and she couldn't really find anything about this incident, but she did say that the house was on the market for quite a while, so it had to be kind of bad. She also started having dreams about this little girl named Ruby, and Ruby would hide in her closet. She would just crouch in her closet, and she was an angry little girl. She said that every single time she tried to talk to her in her dreams, Ruby would attack her violently. She said that her brother also had an experience with this tall man that he saw that just would appear, look at him, point at him, and then turn and face his parents' bedroom and then walk through the door. And then a few weeks later, he was walking past his parents' bedroom again, and he saw this oval shape, and he just saw red eyes peering at him through the corner of the door. Just an oval shape with red beady eyes staring at him. They actually moved out of this house too, and when they did, she said that the day that they moved out, she looked over out a window at the house, and there was a little girl in a blue dress with two braids just standing there glaring at her intently. This would be the start of her experiencing some behavior now, and it was from this little girl that had apparently followed them to her new house. She said that 4 a.m. on the dot every single night she would wake up to this little girl giggling in her room. This little girl would poke her, shove her, smack her, scratch her repeatedly, but only in her room. She has also seen things break right in front of her face, and her father swears that he hears children running around the house when her and her brother are not home. But no one has experienced anything as extreme as she has. So whatever this is definitely targeting Caitlin. Now, Caitlin says that nothing deters this little girl from trying to hurt her except for this pendant that she likes to wear as often as possible. Now, the next part of the story has to do with the Appalachian Mountains, and it is creepy. I don't know how we went from here to there, but we did. Watch out. Now, a couple years ago, she was visiting the George Washington Mount Vernon home in the Appalachian Mountains, and this was a belated high school trip. Now, she, for some reasons, decides that she is going to go off by herself, and she is going to go off on a path leading away from the Potomac River to the woods itself. They had actually been encouraged to go off and explore, but they were supposed to stay on the path, not go off the trails, and meet back in a few hours. They had also been told that they needed a buddy, but she actually went off by herself anyways, not realizing the geographical location. She said that if she would have realized where she was, she never would have done this in the first place. And boy, you are about to find out why. As she's walking, she all of a sudden starts hearing this giggling sound, and it sounds like it's coming from a little boy. And she's a little bit annoyed at this point because the person obviously isn't paying attention. So she's like, hello, hello. It all of a sudden starts to speak, but it starts to speak in a way that is not normal. It sounds like a record is playing back, like a record just saying, come on, come on. And the more it talked, the weirder it sounded. Come on. Come on. And then it just got louder. Come on. Come on. At this point, she is like, F this. And she literally says out loud, I need to leave. And she starts walking very quickly in the other direction towards the path that she wasn't supposed to go off on in the first place. And she continuously hears something follow her saying, come on, come on, come on. She said the rest of the woods were entirely silent, and the only thing that she kept hearing was this. And she had to just keep walking and walking until she got back to her group. When she got back to her group, she was absolutely shaken to her core, and everybody noticed it. They said that she was pale and shaking, and they all asked her what was wrong, but she refused to say anything until she got out of those woods. Caitlin says that she will never go back to the Appalachian Mountains ever again. It absolutely terrifies her, but she still has paranormal experiences to this day. And also remember, she still lives in that house that she lives in where that girl is tormenting her. So what do you guys think is going on here? Do you think that something from her house followed her to the Appalachian Mountains, or do you think this is an entirely different scenario? And what do you think is going on in her home? Like, why is it only targeting her? Drop it in the comments. She will be reading these comments, so feel free to ask her any questions or have any comments for her. I also want to remind you guys how much I love you. Seriously, you guys are the absolute best. Thank you for over 10,000 followers. I am now at 11.8K, and it's been less than 2 weeks, and that means so much to me. You guys are everything. Like, thank you so much. You guys are why I am doing this, not me, you guys. And remember, if you have a true scary story, my email is in my bio. It's kaisaspooky@gmail.com, and just make sure that you email me there. Tell me if you want me to use your real name and tag you. Today's video is brought to you by Comfort. It's new travel essentials hoodie. It is so cute. It's form-fitting. It's softer than the other hoodies. It has pockets right here, a pocket right here, and pockets inside with zippers inside of this kangaroo pouch, and perfect for just relaxing and watching scary stories. If you want the sweatpants, they are also in my showcase, and they have a pocket right there. I love it. I'll drop the link for you below. Again, love you guys so much, but do not forget to have a spooky night. I'll see you in the next one.